Hello, this is a contribution to the ongoing discussion of this fifth generation battlefield that we are proposing that we are finding ourselves in. Several videos have been posted. If y'all are not up to speed yet, Backwoods made one, Great White Stoke made one, and the mighty Landshark 22 is back, at least for this. It reminds me of this movie called Underworld. You might have heard of it. It has this gal, Kate Beckinsale, and she wears these leather pants. Anyway, to make a long story short, she goes through this big process of awakening one of the elder vampires to seek his wisdom. And somehow, some way, we've managed to do that. Like in the movie, there's like this little trail of blood, and it goes down and it feeds down into the coffin, and then the coffin's raised out of the ground, and boom, there's Landshark. So, combining Sharky's vid with another vid that I watched from this character. His name is the S2 Shad, or the S2 some shit or other. And the guy, haven't watched all of his stuff, but sort of alludes to having a S2 background, and not to mansplain it or anything, but I believe is S2 military intelligence. You got like S2 is intelligence, S3 is logistics, something like that. But it was the best video that I could find last night that seemed to have an explanation of the fifth generation warfare front that I was running off at the mouth about. There's confusion with it because a fifth generation fighter has capabilities beyond, say, like what a fourth generation fighter. So we're talking about, in a way, two different things if you talk to some military people. But let's say we got fifth generation warfare. I propose that it was Civil War, to which Great White Stoke has reinforced that. But I somewhat digressed from that point. And what I believe is, now think metaphysically here. Let's say that this isn't a matter of left and right. This isn't a matter of Democrat versus Republican. It isn't even a matter of if one person gets their way, another person doesn't get their way. My thought in the video is how intriguing it is that in this battle space, these people are slugging it out. The Republicans on the right and the Democrats and progressives on the left. They're slugging it out. Meanwhile, the media and social networks reap the benefits of this, if we may call it this way, this combat, this cyber-based combat, with no particular winner, with no particular lines of success. Submitted for your approval. Anytime a new form of combat is revealed, warfighters, leadership has a habit of approaching it in the same way that it was fought in the last war. So if a second generation warfare, which was industrialized with fixed positions of border, fixed positions of advancement, was initially fought in a first generation manner. And the results were absolutely disastrous. Meaning a machine gun from an industrialized nation can positively obliterate the phalanx approach of an oncoming force. You don't even need artillery. Some of these machine guns, like a 50 caliber machine gun, can chew a platoon or even company-sized element up to bits. A single machine gun can chew a company-sized element to bits in a matter of seconds. And that would be second generation warfare against first generation warfare. Third generation warfare against second generation warfare. You think you got something, and then boom, the Blitzkrieg goes right around the Maginot Line. You're in the enemy's rear. You're mixing shit up. The trenches don't mean anything anymore because you're around to the other side of them. You're in them. You've outmaneuvered and have attacked with a speed and ferocity that was able to multiply the equipment and whatever it is that you have on hand. Then fourth generation warfare. What we ran into with Iraq and what Russia ran into in Afghanistan and what we ran into in Afghanistan and what Russia's running into in the Ukraine, where civilians and non-nation state people elements are attacking as an insurgency. And this brings me to Landshark's video. And quite a bit of what you're saying made me think of that. In that, is it fair or is it the best route to approach the fight of fifth generation warfare in the same way that we would for fourth, in the same way we would for squashing an insurgency, for controlling means of communication, cutting off nodes of communication? I think that it is beyond that. And there were some points in the video that I watched last night where this S2 character was describing fifth generation warfare. Where does the battlefield really exist? What's the battlefield? What's the weapon? What he proposed is the battlefield is actually your mind. However, the weapon is also your mind. He proposed in his solution for how to fight this is, you want to create white space. Give yourself time to assess a proper counterattack, or even better, if there's some way to make the enemy's weapons useless. Now, in the case of Great White Stoke, and I believe in Landshark as well, it can be shown where cyber attacks have a very real and very kinetic, physical response to this war. But is it really a means to an end? Like, you take down a power grid with a cyber attack. Is that really what's going on? Or is it the effect to get into people's heads mentally? The S2 channel proposed that the number one weapon for the fifth generation warfare is gaslighting, misinformation. All of a sudden, say a person is an ardent Christian and all of a sudden some evidence is proven to them, and it calls into it calls into question every fundamental of their faith. And once that is called into question, everything else is up for grabs. The individual loses their foundation. They lose their root hold, and they begin to be tortured, and it puts them into an emotional state. And people that are in an emotional state, they're easy to control. It's a lesson old as the hills, right? Now, some on here would think that, well, they want to control us because of they want us to do this and they want us to do that. I don't know. I think it's interesting how, say, the World Economic Forum has been able to enact certain policies that have really changed the lifestyle of so many people. I know more than a handful of people that work at home now, just as an example. That's something that was somewhat new. I mean, people used to work remotely 10, 20 years ago, but it was unusual, or they'd travel quite a bit. But I know a lot of people that work from home, and it's a fundamental change. Just slipped right in there. And to what end? To what end is all of this anti-petroleum stuff leading towards? To what end is all the global climate change stuff working towards? Because there's been a faction with both the petroleum and both the global climate change crap and the big pharma. A lot of these fifth generation warfare things seem to always come back to vaccinations. Landshark, you even mentioned it. How as a test, like if a local law enforcement person had been required to take the jab to get back to work, that proved possibly what side they were on with everything. But I don't think it's as clear as that. I mean, we were talking about fighting in a gray space, and what better of an explanation of a gray space than to realize and acknowledge that it isn't just black and white. So in summation, I may have to back off a little bit on what I originally thought was a civil war. However, as a war, I'm not going to say that it's cold. I'm going to disagree with Great White Stoke on this. This is a hot war, and its primary focus is fifth generation warfare and tactics, and it is hot. And it is hot, and it turns kinetic, and there are very real effects to it, and those effects are far-reaching and capable of outflanking even the best of fourth generation tactics. So that's what I got for now. A little bit for everybody to chew on. I'm getting quite a bit out of this discussion. Really respect and appreciate everybody's opinions. And my point in all this, especially following the video I watched last night, is to figure out a way to fight back and to work with others, especially if the battle space, as what S2 and myself now think it is, if the battle space is in our minds, when you're depressed or on the internet and you don't know which way's up or whatever, is that situation the result of this fifth generation global conflict that we're in the middle of? So, identifying the battle space, identifying your weapons, and how to fight back.